Are you wondering the best time to buy a house in a recession? We are going to take a look at the last 8 recessions to figure out exactly when it was the best time to buy in those previous 8. Plus, we're going to cover new homes and when the best time it is to buy in a recession, because there is a difference between new homes and resale in their pricing in a recession. And make sure you stick around to the end, because we're going to cover an important point that often gets lost in the data, which makes a big difference if you're trying to time up the real estate market in a recession. Hey there. Christian Walsh, real estate agent with Wire Associates. We have been helping buyers and sellers make the best data-driven decisions in this crazy market. Do you think we're in a recession right now, or do you think we're going to go in a recession? Let me know in the comments below. Most people seem to think the answer is yes. And if you are able to time it up just right in buying a house during a recession, you could potentially make some good money over time. So if you're ready to dive into the best time to buy in a recession, hit that like button and let's get started. Let's dive into the data. Here we go. We're going to take a look at the median home price in the United States. This is from a website called Don't Quit Your Day Job. They have an amazing resource here. We have a link below so you can check it out. We've used their data before. It's solid stuff. One other cool thing here is you can actually see the CPI adjusted price if you want to play with that data as well. We're just looking at the non-CPI adjusted price. For the purposes of this video, we are going to show you the 8 past recessions. Those are the gray vertical lines you see on the screen. We're going to start with the 70s to see what happened. So in the early 70s, we had a recession, and then in the mid 70s, we had a recession. And you can see here, following these prices, that in both of these recessions, the first 2 out of the 8 we're looking at, prices were stable or went up slightly during the recessionary times. So that means the best time to buy for this recession was at the beginning of the recession. Even before it started, you were going to get additional equity in your home just by holding on to your home through this recession. There was no drop in price. Moving on to the 80s, 2 recessions there, the beginning of the 80s, and then just a year or 2 later, Fed stepped in because of high inflation and increased the Fed fund rate, which led ultimately to increases in interest rates, and mortgage interest rates went through the roof. And make sure you tune in Friday, because we're going to talk about what happens to mortgage interest rates during all these recessions. You might be surprised. And these recessions, especially the second one, are very close to what we're experiencing right now from what folks say because of inflation. But look at the blue line, the median home price, and tell me what happened. You can see that values did not drop. They actually went up a little bit. So in these recessionary times, it would have been best to buy your home before the recession started or at the very beginning of the recession, because values stayed level and did not drop. There's 4 out of the 8 recessions we're going to cover, and we did not see any drop in price. Let's zoom on forward. In the early 90s, we had a recession, and prices dropped a tiny bit. Maybe halfway through, you could have saved a couple $100 had you purchased. So no big drop in prices. You were fine if you bought at the beginning or really any time in the recession in the early 90s. 2000, some of you may remember. Some of you are still too young to have known anything about that. And you can see here during the dot-com bust that values continued to go up. Now locally, there were places where values dropped. For example, the Bay Area, I'm sure values dropped there because there was concentration of a lot of companies there, and the stocks went bust for .com. So locally, you could see prices would have dropped. But when we're looking at the national median home price, there wasn't a drop in the early 2000s. Moving on to the global financial crisis, the one that many of us remember, and we keep hearing, boy, is this like 2008 right now? Is it not like 2008? We can see that prices did drop. The median home price did drop on a national level, and you can see that it bottomed out kind of December 2008, went up, and then it bottomed out again. So the bottom at a national level was March of 2009 for the median home price. So during the global financial crisis, your best bet would have been to buy a couple years before the recession, Or if you bought right about in the middle of towards the end of the recession, you were going to do okay because you found the bottom. Although the interesting thing about the global financial crisis is prices continue to drop. So they actually dropped all the way through 2011, and then it wasn't until 2012 where they turned around fully. So this is one where your best bet may have not been to buy in the recession because value still dropped after the recession. But again, tune in for Friday's video on mortgage interest rates. You're going to see something interesting that happened around that time related to interest rates and subsequently what drove the demand. The other big difference in this global financial crisis is that we had hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people who had loans they couldn't afford. They basically fogged a mirror and got to buy a house or 3 or 5. We had excess inventory come to the market because of the foreclosures, because of irresponsible underwriting at the time. That is a difference in this market. We still have responsible underwriting, so we're not at a point where we're going to have the excess inventory like we saw back in the global financial crisis. And tune into one of my market update videos so you can see how inventory levels and foreclosure levels compare between then and now. And we can't forget the last of the recessions, the most recent one, besides the one we may be in right now, and that is COVID, and values went up during COVID for resale homes. So 7 of the 8 recessions, home prices were either flat or went up during the recessionary times. We have one recession going back to the 70s of the 8 we've had where we have a case where values dropped. So that is an important point. What do you think is going to happen in this recession if and when we're in it? And are things any different for new homes when it comes to recessions? And the short answer is yes. There is a link below to Fred's economic data. The St. Louis Fed put this chart together so you can take a look at it. Also has the shaded areas for recessions, and you can see that it's not quite as smooth for new homes as it was for resale homes. Now, I know it says at the top of this median sales price of houses sold for the United States, and I've seen some folks that use this incorrectly. This data is specifically only new homes. So when you look at this chart, you can see that the recession in the 1970s, it wasn't flat for new home prices. New home prices dropped towards the end of the recession. If you timed it up just at the end, Q4 1970, you would then have seen the value of your new home continue to go up. And then we can see that values went up in the mid-70s recession. No dip there like we saw in the early 70s recession, specifically for new homes. Getting into the 80s recession, so the early 80s, it did go up, you can see. But then we have this big drop in the second 80s recession. And you can see if right in the middle, roughly, you would have bought a new home, you would have gotten a discount on that. Early 90s for new homes, if you would have purchased right at the beginning, that was a big drop. You can see too, look at the Q2 to Q3, you had a big drop in prices, and maybe that's what we're experiencing right now in new homes at the beginning of the recession. And then you can see in the early 2000s where prices continue to go up just into the recession, but then dropped. And then as the recession ended, that was the lowest price point. And then they continue to go up. So you can see that the numbers are more volatile for new homes. Now, these are quarterly numbers versus monthly. New homes, we see the drop in the median price. Q1 2007 kept on dropping all the way till we got to Q1 2009, which roughly correlates to the resale market. Bounced back, dropped again, and then continued to go up. And then interestingly, when we hit COVID, unlike resale homes, we see a drop in the price in new homes during COVID, and then there was a quick rebound, and all of a sudden through the roof. So that is a look specifically at new homes and the effect that a recession has on new home pricing. And there's some valuable lessons for any county by looking at some local county data. This is Orange County in particular. Those who've seen my videos on market updates have seen me use the InfoSparks tool before. This is going all the way back to 2008, and what we're showing is the median sales price. And you can quickly see here that it's pretty close. So January of 2009 is when we hit the bottom. But let's talk about timing up the market. Look at this chart, and you see it looks like a saw blade. The bottoms on here are usually in Januaries. So if you want to time up the market, you're going to want to shoot to close in January. So that's an important point. I know we're going into a recession and everybody's saying, oh my gosh, prices are going to fall. Yeah, prices fall every year this time of year. So that's an important point. We've done a video on that. So talking again about timing up the market, let's say you were just off by a month or two, or maybe even 3 months, you can see that the bottom was 360 for median home price. If you missed it by a few months, 380. And then by the summer of that year, 425. So in 6 months, we went from 360 to 425. So $60,000 increase, and you had to wait a little while for it to drop again. Now it works the other way. Let's say, okay, it's the bottom, and you bought in June of 2008. You went ahead and saw things drop to the other side, and it took a while to get back. Timing up the market, very tough, and that's an important point. Let me show you another county or two just to show minor variation. It is worth just a quick look. And here's San Diego County, just down the coast, and you can see during the global financial crisis that the median home price was much choppier in San Diego County. We can see the numbers are kind of all over the place. Now there was a drop. So when Orange County hit its bottom in January 2009, there was a bottom in San Diego, but it wasn't the absolute bottom. Oddly enough, in San Diego, you had to get into October of 2010 to hit the bottom. You can see, again, very volatile, jagged numbers going up and down, and then it starts to smooth out and look similar to Orange County. So that's why you have to know your local data. And one more county just to bring this point home and show you how there's variation. This is Riverside County. It's just inland from Orange County, not on the coast, not too far from San Diego, and not too far from Orange County. It's right next to it. And you can see that their home price, their median bottom, was in May of 2009. So this was a few months later than Orange County. You need to look at your local data to see exactly where the numbers have been for your local area, and then maybe you can extrapolate and figure out where they're going to be for this recession. Thanks for sticking around to the end. I promised an important point that often gets lost in the data. So you could see at the national level that the drop, the low price during the global financial crisis was in March of 2009. That was the bottom. In order to close at the low price in March of 2009, you actually have to be in escrow sooner than that. So you need to be in escrow 30 to 60 days before. So that low price point in March of 2009 correlates with offers being written 30 to 60 days before. So it could have been January or February that folks were writing offers and going into escrow, and ultimately it closed in March of 2009. So if you're going to time up the market, make sure that you're writing your offers at the right time in order to hit the bottom. I want to hear from you. I want to know what you think is going to happen to home prices during this recession. Are they going to stay level, go up, or are they going to go down? And if they're going to go down, how far? Let us know how you're going to time up buying low in this recession. Make sure you subscribe to our free weekly email newsletter so you can get market updates to see where home prices are going, see how many foreclosures are coming to the market, and a whole lot more. And check out this next video you will not want to miss on the housing market. Thanks for tuning in. This has been Christian Walsh, real estate agent with Wire Associates, and we want to hear from you.